Hi, welcome everybody to the fourth of our five webcasts on Digital Northern Ireland 2020. I'd like again to thank Eircom for making this available, this facility for us to use and allowing us to outreach to a large and varied audience on these sessions, which have proved to be very popular. Today's session is particularly important to the business community in Northern Ireland. It's focused on how do we exploit the digital platform to help businesses grow, all types of businesses. The small to medium business sector is by far and away the largest in Northern Ireland. We've done a calculation. If by use of the digital platform, every business could employ just one extra person, we would have zero unemployment in Northern Ireland, which gives you an idea of the scale of that business. Now, today we're going to have practitioners talking about their experience, their real life experience in engaging in developing businesses, running businesses, and making businesses successful. Stephen Brennan comes up from Dublin, and he's actually presenting from Dublin. He's responsible for the Digital Hub facility in Dublin, which is an incubation business centre close to the Guinness distillery, particularly targeted at micro businesses, the smaller end of the business sector. And we want to look at that and understand how that model can be of use to us here in the north. Peter Smith from Cunningham Covers, from my part of the world, as I say, God's own country between Magaragh and Tobermoor, is going to tell us about the success story, how they have used the web to really transform the business fortunes. James Scott is going to tell us how they've developed a very successful global business in the development of mobile apps, again, exploiting the digital platform. And then at the end, I'm going to pull together a summary of all of this and look at some of the other business areas which are thriving in Northern Ireland. But I'd like to, first of all, hand over to Stephen. And I'd also like to, I know there's a number of business school classes listening in on this. Welcome. I hope you'll find this informative and you'll throw lots of questions at us at the end. Bye. Stephen, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Sinclair. Welcome everybody to this web conference. I'd like to thank Digital NI 2020 for giving me the opportunity to talk to you from Dublin today. So as Sinclair was suggesting, I am going to talk to you a little bit about the Digital Hub, but I want to really structure what I'm going to talk about over the next few minutes into two parts. The first part focuses on people and businesses using the internet. And then the second part, I want to talk about the internet businesses that are going to help to drive the economy in Northern Ireland forward and their influence on every aspect of life, from learning and teaching, into hospitals, into schools, and also, obviously, and most importantly for this particular conference, into businesses. So the users first, and then the practitioners in the second part of the presentation. So the first thing to talk about is, and Sinclair will probably kill me for even mentioning it this way, but a lot of focus that I see all over the world, particularly from governments and from the private sector, is about supply. So how do we get fibers? How do we get WiMAX? How do we get Wi-Fi? How do we get a whole range of other things that nobody understands into people's homes and schools and businesses? And so a lot of emphasis and investment and discussion and policies focus on the supply side of the internet equation. What I want to do in the next few minutes is to try in your minds to focus you on the demand side of the internet equation. So for this business and economic students listening to us, we're going to focus a little bit now on the demand side. And what I'm calling that in this slide is the usage. And what I'm saying is that a world-class physical network, in other words, the connectivity, the supply, coupled with world-class usage of that supply, really is the key advantage that Northern Ireland has, that the Republic of Ireland has, that any country has. It's the combination of those two things that really makes businesses work, and you're going to hear about a couple of examples of that a little bit later in this conference. So the thing is that we are operating in a world that is changing rapidly. The internet, most people probably on this call, I would consider internet natives. You probably have an email account, you use email, you use instant messaging. Some of you might be using LinkedIn, some of you might be on Facebook, you might be regular Twitter users. But the point is that you are and you are being more and more influenced by your ability to do things online. And essentially this is having a tremendous effect on every single business, from the one-person operation to the 200,000 multinational operation. More and more of our customers can be connected to us using the internet, and we can service them, we can sell to them, we can support products, we can release products and services in a much more cost-effective way to customers just about anywhere in the world from wherever we are. And again, I think a little bit later on in this presentation you're going to hear some real examples of that in a Northern Ireland context. But there is real and significant money being made by businesses being operating and present online. There's also, in this current economic climate, much efficiency that can be brought to businesses. I think Sinclair is going to talk a little bit about this at the end of the presentation today. But using the internet and using technology drives efficiencies in business in terms of costs and in terms of efficient use of resources. And then, of course, with all this activity in internet, we're seeing that internet businesses, the providers of this technology and content on the internet, are in and of themselves becoming exceptionally valuable businesses. And if you look at the FTSE index, you look at the S&P, you look at the New York Stock Exchanges, you'll see that many of the very valuable stocks that have evolved over the last 10 years are stocks that relate to this internet space, because the opportunity for business, the opportunity for profit, the opportunity for engagement with customers is very significant. And again, this is true for a one-person business and a 200,000 person multinational. So, how do we try to rationalize in our minds what it takes to put and to make our business successful using the internet? And I have this 4 C's model that I use to explain that. And again, we hear a lot about, and we have a lot of information, and Sinclair will talk to us at the end of this presentation about the relative advantage we have in Northern Ireland around connectivity. But very closely coupled with that connectivity is what I call capability, which is the know-how. What do we use all this bandwidth for? How do we connect our business processes, using this capability to the outside world? Something that will make our business more efficient and will allow us to reach more customers. And essentially, the 2 other components in my C's model, which is the content, which is what am I actually presenting to the world, and when I have my connectivity, I have my ability to use, and I have my content in place, the community that I can build up around my brand, around my product, around my community, around myself, the community that I can build up around my brand online, then is an intrinsically and important value for my business into the future. And I'm going to show you some examples and illustrate where this can be used in the positive and also in the negative. So, the summary of what I've just said so far is that unlike many things that we hear in the press, internet, broadband, is not about the technology. It's not about the fibers and broadband and bandwidth that we get. It's about what we actually do with it. It's about our ability to connect with the lifestyle, with the demographic, with the customer that we're trying to interface with in a much more intimate way. Now, again, we're going to hear some examples of that later on, but businesses that are particularly focused on younger customers and the younger demographic need to realize that more and more of those customers spend more and more time on the internet. And if we want to communicate and engage and connect with those customers, we have to be there too. Many times throughout Ireland, throughout the UK, throughout France, throughout Italy, wherever I go, I talk to small businesses and they say to me that, oh, our customers are not really online. We don't need to have a website. We don't need to have an email address. But the reality is that for the majority of those businesses, they don't know the customers they don't have if they're not online. They don't know the business that they're missing if they're not engaging with this demographic online. And in Ireland, these are figures from VC Europe. I'm just looking now at the island of Ireland for a moment. A significant amount of money is being spent. For 2010, that was over £2.5 billion was spent by Irish consumers on products and services on the internet. That is some absolute number that is not insignificant, but what is really significant is just how much that is growing year on year. At the same time that consumer spending on the high street fell by between 6 and 9%, internet spending by the very same customers that are walking on the streets of Derry and Belfast and other places, internet spending rose by almost 40% in the same period. So what's happening? Consumers are going online. And interestingly, in Ireland, more men are spending online than women. And one of the key attributes to the spending is that there is better value to be had by consumers engaging with products and services and small companies online than in the high street. So cost savings, cheaper products and services, products and services that can pass on efficiencies in their business using internet, that's where the trade is. That's where the new customers are. And this is at a time when we have a significant recession in economies both north and south of the border. Spending is growing online. So where are the new customers and where's the new money? It's online. The other interesting thing is that there is a growing and significant level of confidence by consumers in spending online. So the idea that it's risky to use your credit card, it's risky to find products online, you don't know what they look like, you can't touch and feel them, that is something that this consumer base is evolving from. And essentially, buying online is becoming something that we do in a mainstream way. That's not just travel, it's not just flights and hotels, it's clothing, it's electronics, it's books, it's hardware products, it's a whole range of things as we go into the future. Now, in terms of a small business, obviously being able to put your virtual hand up and say, I'm here, and connect with a customer and tell a customer what you do or what you sell or what service you provide, there is a greater expectation in the future, particularly, as I say, with younger demographics, that we need to engage our customers in a conversation. There needs to be a connection between our customers and our brand, what we stand for, what we're about, why I, as a customer, should connect to you and not somebody else that's providing me with another alternative product and service. And Facebook is a great example of just how important and just how pervasive this brand characteristic becomes. Because on Facebook, when you're a business, what you ideally want to do is you want to take a slice of that 800 million people that are on Facebook, 400 million people a day, and get some of those people to promote your brand for you. And the options for doing that and the value of doing that becomes all the more relevant the more of that 800 million people that are part of Facebook every day on their mobile device, whether that be a mobile phone or a tablet or a touchpad or whatever it might be. But more and more of those customers are bringing Facebook with them in their pocket or in their bag, and more of those customers or potential customers are carrying your brand as a business around with them every day. So it's an important thing for us to think about. In terms of some of the other key trends that we need to think about as a business engaging with our customers online, we need to think about the opportunities and this growing opportunity that we see with providing discounts. And there are some examples of some of the websites that are successful in our markets there. But the point about these opportunities, these are opportunities to promote our products and services, particularly to a consumer market. But the amount of business that's being conducted across these sites is growing exponentially. It's doubling every few months, to be precise, in Ireland. So the reality is that if your business is not involved in this new marketplace, it's not there. It doesn't exist. Again, to reiterate the point that much more of these interactions are happening with consumers using the internet on their mobile device. So we actually know much more about them. We're becoming much more intimate in the relationship that we have as a brand, as a product, as a service with those consumers, because we're with them all the time, and we're engaging with them, these users with mobile devices, at a time that they're choosing to engage with us. So in their free time, when they are paying a great deal of attention. That becomes very important because more and more customers are researching purchases on the internet before they ever walk into a business premises. And that doesn't matter whether you're selling a piece of hardware, a mechanical piece of hardware, building a bridge, or selling a mobile phone. Consumers are using the internet, business consumers as well as retail consumers, using the internet to research what they want to buy and from whom they want to buy it. So again, every business being online begins to play. If you're not online, you're not even in the game. So an example maybe, I just chose this example. It's an example of a company that produces the Aura brush. It's out of Utah. But just the reason that I chose it is that it is a company living in the middle of nowhere in another country, yes, but it's quite timely. This is a story that broke very recently on Google, and I would invite you, the link is on the slide, if you want to go and take a look at some of the marketing and advertising and engagement material that this company has on YouTube. It is well worth it. But the story is a very simple story. It's a company in Utah that produced a new piece of technology. It's a device for cleaning your tongue, which helps with bad breath. It's not a particularly inviting subject, but the point is that they were trying to break into the mainstream consumer market in the US, a market obviously which is enormous in potential. And they tried very conventional ways of doing that in terms of buying advertising space, engaging with the traveling salespeople that would allow their product to go into mainstream retail sales. But the reality was that a small company in Utah wasn't really making much impact. A young person came into their office and basically said, for $500, I'll help you produce a YouTube video that will reach an audience much wider than you can possibly reach from traveling salespeople going through Utah. They took a chance and they produced a couple of very humorous and engaging stories and made those into movies on YouTube. They had 16 million hits for their first video, and they've now just signed a deal with one of the biggest pharmacy chains in the US. Why? Because their brand is something now that people connect with online. They have established a huge social network around their brand, and for a large pharmacy chain, stocking a brand that already has 1 million, 2 million, 16 million, 20 million users that have an interest in it, that's a no-brainer. There's very little risk in giving away 2-3 square feet of retail space to a brand that's likely to be recognized by consumers. A tiny company in the middle of nowhere, $500, a YouTube video, and closing a deal with one of the biggest pharmacy chains in the US. Another example of perhaps the golden rule here of the internet is that we're still talking about a business. And as a business person, if we're bringing our business online, we need to remember that what we're doing is bringing our business online. An example from Reading, Rachel Brown runs a very small cupcake company out of Reading. It's a small-scale operation, and she got the idea of putting a coupon, a discount on Groupon, which is one of the discount sites that I mentioned earlier on. Problem was, though, that it was meant to be a loss leader, in that it was a 75% discount if you ordered a dozen cupcakes. Problem was, of course, that Rachel didn't realize that the reach of Groupon goes way beyond what her business was used to, taking tens of orders a day. The business with this discount got 8,500 orders with Groupon, more orders than they could possibly fill, and also nearly bankrupt the business because, again, the discount didn't make any business sense in the first place. But the reality is there's two parts of this story. The first part of the story is, look at what a very small business in Reading that sells cupcakes can do on the internet in terms of growing its business. But the second moral to the story is it's still a business. And the same business logic applies to using the internet. The internet is a channel to customers. It's a channel that allows you to establish a connection with your brand to this world. And it needs to be managed and treated with the same respect that you would do any other investment. So, for a business, being on the internet is a critical thing to do. If you are a business and you're not online already, the New Year's resolution needs to be to get online and to get help to getting online. The help comes from the internet industry itself. Many hundreds of small businesses that whose sole purpose in life is to help you win business online. In the Digital Hub, we have a cluster of these businesses in Dublin. We've been operating since 2004. We've had about 180 such businesses through our doors in that time. We have about 80 companies here now. I'll show you at the end of this presentation a link to our website if you want to know more about our companies and what we do. But essentially what we're trying to do is establish and help that internet industry, the industry that will help you and your businesses to be online, to become large and successful so that other businesses who use this internet will become successful. Because essentially what our businesses are about is helping other businesses who have concepts get those into the marketplace very quickly, because the internet really helps you to do that. Because once you've developed your idea and put it online, the customers that are already online will help you to develop your product. We see this very readily with products like Gmail from Google, where Gmail was launched as a beta, as a trial, and customers helped through customer feedback to develop that product into something that particularly focused on what that customer wanted. So the product was better, the cost of producing the product was lower, and so on. So for us, and my interest is in helping internet companies to help companies to connect with those users online. And for the north of Ireland, as well as many other places around the world, the challenge with this idea is that this is really what we refer to as a smart economy, where government and their entities, as well as the network providers that you have in terms of connectivity, as well as the school and education system, as well as the skilled and creative people that create technologies and content for the internet, all need to be connected together with a single purpose. And that purpose for you is Digital Northern Ireland 2020, but needs to be connected so that every business in Northern Ireland can take proper, full advantage of the connectivity and the capability, the content and the community that can be built up around each business and each brand. And that really is the conclusion of my little segment. My contact details are on the screen. Thedigitalhub.com is our website. In fact, we just relaunched the site this morning. So it'll be an interesting one for you to take a look at. You'll see a lot of information about what's going on in Ireland in digital, the companies that will support your businesses going online. I will leave you with this, which is essentially a whole link to our social media, a good way for you to keep up to date with what's going on in the internet space. Now I'm going to hand over to Peter Smith, and Peter is a great example again of what I've just been talking about, a company called Cunningham Covers, and I'm going to hand over the rights to move these slides forward to you, Peter.
Hi, thanks, Stephen. So as Stephen was just saying there, we are, would you say, maybe a typical example of, would you say, using the web to a better advantage. But first of all, I'll just take you through maybe an overview of our company. Let me just see, I'll just flick these slides across. So Cunningham Covers started many years ago by our managing director, Cunningham Covers, and his wife, who started making covers in their front room. And since then, the company has moved into new industries and currently employs over 40 people. Our core business is actually manufacturing bespoke tarpaulins for the transport and farming industry. But for 7 years now, we've also had our in-house print and design service, which basically offers our customers, logos and print on their tarpaulins or advertising billboards. Basically, to sum up our company in short, we offer the manipulation and printing of textiles. So, let me just flick forward here, sorry folks. What did we do? Well, as I said, about 7 years ago, we had a static website. It didn't receive very many visitors, led to very few sales, and most people were left thinking, the web doesn't really work as such. But in 2009, we went back to the drawing board, spent a lot of time and effort into actually design something that could bring in some revenue. The interaction with our actual customers was key, so we had to look at our products and see which ones would actually sell well online. So we created an easy-to-use interface that would help the customer to input their specifications. The unique feature on this website is basically the actual quick response we can give to them. This allows us to capture the information quickly and respond back to the customer quickly as well. This quick response helps us keep a direct link to our customer, creating a more efficient communication. So what has actually changed? Well, before the website, we actually thought about employing a salesperson into the mainland UK. But once we had the website up and running, we actually found that it was able to give us a bigger audience a lot quicker. Our customer base has actually grown extensively over the past 3 years due to the actual widespread catchment area of this site. And obviously with that, there's been more work, and we've been able to keep employees in work and actually increase our employee numbers as well. The communication side of it has been a huge benefit to us as a whole. We're able to seek out the information from the customer before any phone calls actually took place, and this basically helps the order process get processed quicker. Generally, I find that a quick phone call to the customer helps reassure our customers, and we firmly believe this website, with all its magic tricks and power, it could be nothing without our backroom staff back in Mackeraw here at the centre of Northern Ireland, as Sinclair would like to say. But it is a crucial part in our process, and without them, it would be nothing. The interactive interface, it's a fundamental part of our website, as our website isn't all singing and dancing and flashy, but it's simple. The interface is simple and clean and crisp, and it allows the user to experience the site in a lot easier way. Now, Cunningham Covers is obviously at a global level, and we are visible to the entire world, and that's all thanks to the web and doing it right. We're constantly getting inquiries from around the mainland UK, Europe, and Middle East. Inquiries that we would never have gotten before. So, successes and maybe not so much. We basically, there's a few things here that I'd like to go through. We've tried a number of different things. Some work better than others. We found that actually phoning customers straight away once we got the inquiry through the website, this helped draw the sale in a lot quicker, and you're giving confidence to the actual customer that you're a reputable company. So the flow of information was good. It helped keep all those finer details that we need to a minimum. Another little thing that we actually, Stephen actually touched on there was YouTube and videos. Basically, this proved actually very useful for people that actually didn't know how to fit their covers once they arrived. So we grabbed an iPhone, put them together in a simple video, uploaded it to YouTube, and that was it. Again, nothing groundbreaking, but it works, and we actually feel that people relate very well to the video, and we actually plan to do a lot more in the coming months. Social media, Stephen, you touched on it as well. We have quite of a mixed view on this, due to the type of customers we actually have, which are generally, it's mostly business to business. Most companies that we find actually ban the actual social media websites, and we don't find it's actually working for us as well. We do have a Twitter and a Facebook, but none have really done much for us. So we do feel it might be a limit on us. But again, we're not giving up on it. We have them there. We're continually working with them, and of course, any suggestions would be greatly received as well. So, folks, that's me. Again, I would like to thank Sinclair and all the DNI 2020 team for inviting us here to share experiences. Hopefully it's been of use, and if If you have any questions, just get in touch. And for now, I will hand over to James.
So we'll just get moved on to the next slide. Guys, my name is James Scott. I'm from a company called Jampot Technologies, and we build a product called the App Builder. So just to give you a bit of context, we're a new company. We started in January 2011, and our business is purely online. So we wouldn't be in business without the internet. Effectively, our product allows anyone anywhere in the world to build a mobile phone application, whether that's for their iPhone or their Android device, or even their iPad or some of the newer devices as well. So effectively, we set the business up to run purely online. We very rarely have to speak to any of our customers or see them in person. But actually, as Peter alluded to in his presentation as well, sometimes there are benefits to doing things on the phone or even face-to-face. I'll just give you, first of all, an idea of why we're doing this. And basically, as you can see from the slide, mobile is now everywhere. We've got iPhone, Android, things like Windows Phone, BlackBerry. It's being used on a global basis. And considering mobile as part of your digital strategy is I would say, is critical today. Because people are now accessing information anywhere in the world, any time of the day or night, on their mobile devices. And to give you some quick facts, I didn't want to just talk about our company too much, but to give you some quick facts, basically in 2010, mobiles already outsold desktop computers by quite a large factor. So the growth rate of where people are using their devices and their information is very much mobilizing. Very rarely are people sitting at their desktop computers or even laptops these days. It's moving towards phones and tablets. A factor in that then is mobile usage is up. We actually saw desktop web browsing drop last year, and mobile usage is increasing. So this is all alluding towards a trend that people are starting to access information everywhere, and you need to consider that, whether you're selling physical goods like Peter described with tarpaulins, or whether you're selling electronic services or products like we are, you do need to consider how people are going to access that information and cover all your bases. It's not to say that you don't do web, but certainly consider mobile as part of it. And for us, certainly, mobile has been a key channel to customers on a worldwide basis. Although we launched very recently, we've had customers contacting us from as far away as Australia, North America, all over Europe, and their primary engagement with us is through our own app, which allows them to build apps in itself. So people can download the iPhone app, Android app, or for their computer and start building. That's how we engage with customers initially. And the app stores are becoming places where people talk about products and services, recommend them to their friends, and then they go off and download. So in terms of your business, being visible in app stores, whether that's iTunes or Google's Android market, is an extremely important place, in addition to the web, the social media channels, and YouTube as well became effectively a search engine for content, as much as just being able to view videos. So mobile is the next phase of that. To give you some examples of how businesses are using mobile, I thought this would probably be the best way to explain what we do and why it's useful for other businesses. The first example here is a shoe shop. So you might think it's quite a low-tech business, just literally retail displaying shoes, and it would have a catchment area and so on. But actually, this shoe shop is actually using mobile to engage its audience and gaining customers from new areas. So they obviously list their products on there. They put all of their social media channels. But the most interesting thing is they offer an incentive to customers that view their app, and they can get discounts. They can see the latest stock as it arrives in, and they get alerts wherever they are. So they're actually finding people are seeing what they're doing and reacting to it, maybe whilst they're out shopping at the same time. So it's a very timely example. The next one I'll show is a community group. So this is a soccer team over in the States, and they use it very much as a tool to communicate with their existing audience. So they post up their match fixtures, they put on training videos, their football results. They also basically use this as a tool to engage people, to show what goes on inside the club, and then that attracts new members. So that's a good example of a community group that actually uses mobile to engage on a regular basis. The last example is a racing car driver. Wayne is from Temple Patrick, but he's actually a rising star over in the US racing series. He's a couple of steps below IndyCar racing at the moment, but he's going in the right direction, and we basically worked with him to build him a mobile phone app. And the whole idea with this was Wayne is trying to connect with his fan base, attract sponsors, and grow his overall following. So what we've done is actually put together an app that allows him to show everyone what he's up to, his race results, and really just to build up his following. This is useful because Wayne travels all over the world to race, and his fans are all over the place. So this is a unified way for people anywhere to actually connect with Wayne and see what he's doing. Certainly in the UK, we don't get an awful lot of coverage of US motorsport. So this is actually a great way for his fans back home to follow him as well. So basically, I just wanted to talk through how we got to where we are today. So effectively, a new technology came along. In our case, it was mobile phone apps. We found ways of enabling and harnessing that technology to make a business, and we felt that bringing mobile apps to the mass market was really a great way to grow. But this analogy and this slide can be used if you're thinking of a business. Think of technologies that can help you, whether that's web, Facebook, Twitter, apps. Think of enablers that get you there and get you to your market. And really, in our sense with mobile and digital, mass market is the key. There's billions of people around the world actually that have mobile phones now. So it's a really great way of engaging with a huge audience very, very quickly. And that's me. So, Sinclair, I will hand over to you, if that's okay, and we can do some Q&A if there are any.
Okay, right. Thanks very much indeed, James. 3 great talks. 3 talks, all with the same theme. The network, the broadband connectivity, that's really interesting, but what's really important is working out how to use it, using it, and engaging with your customers. I want to go through some slides here. Actually, Stephen, you said at the start I would kill you for saying that the connectivity isn't the real story. Not at all. You're absolutely right. A metaphor came to my mind. Often it's been in my dad's garage, and if there'd been no road built past the garage, we wouldn't have very many customers. We'd probably only been people coming in tractors. Mind you, in my part of the world in Tuppermore, at least it would have been some people with tractors. But once you had a road going past your garage, that was the first step. That was the network connection. You had to get the cars to stop. You had to get them to come into the forecourt, because if they didn't come into the forecourt, it surely was difficult to sell them any petrol if they went past you at 30 to 40 miles an hour. So it's all about how you use the tools of the network to attract your customers, and once you've attracted them, to get them to stay. A little bit, though, about the network, the facts. We've got a fantastic network. Dense deployment of fibre. We've got all sorts of ways of getting connected in Northern Ireland, so that I would estimate at the moment at least 80% of the population could get superfast broadband or its equivalent if they wanted to sign up to it. By the back end of next year, we'll be up to an equivalent of about 90-95% when we roll in the technology of high-speed WiMAX along with cable, fibre to the cabinet, and other odds and sods. And the other remaining 5% of those, that's about 80% of them would be able to get reasonably fast broadband. So you've got 98 and 99% of the population covered, which is a lot of people. With broadband, which allows them to consume, but also allows them to interact and do business. As consumers, as business people, we've got competition and choice. there are a number of different operators. There are a number of different operators, ISPs, service providers, all eager to deliver service. You are, or we, as a whole, we're in the ideal position to demand good service, to demand good speeds, to demand robustness and resilience, offer service, and our operators here will benefit from that, from being made to face up to that challenge. We want the service delivered in Northern Ireland, in the broadband sphere, to be the best on the planet. We've got international connectivity, so our marketplace for businesses isn't 1.79 million, I think it is, in the north. If you take the north and the south and the island of Ireland, about 5 million people. It's actually 3.5 to 4 billion people who can trade in the internet at the moment. Very big market. I put in this slide to make the point about how well we're connected. It's a slide which shows the percentage of people who've got availability, or the percentage of the countryside which is covered by superfast broadband. In this slide, green means good, red means bad, and the others are sort of various shades of lower level connection. All but one of the council districts of Northern Ireland has more than 90% of its street boxes already connected to fibre to the cabinet. You combine that with the Virgin cable product and other products, and you realise we are way ahead of the rest of the UK. The challenge we have, and it really is the big challenge, getting people to use it and businesses to use it in a way which is effective to actually grow in their business. Because indeed, whilst 90 to 95% of people can get access to superfast broadband, only 60-65% are connected to broadband at all, and the average speed of connection that people are making do with at the moment is 4 to 5 meg. Now, the fact that we've got a fantastic network doesn't mean that everybody's going to have very high speeds. In a room of 20 people, I'll always find at least one, if not two, who've got problems. But that's indicative of we've got 90 to 95% of the territory covered, and we have to find ways of getting to the rest, ways which doesn't include people having to move house. Why is bandwidth connectivity so important to businesses now when you start using it? I mentioned the fact 50% of the world's connected, and more are getting connected all of the time. When Peter was talking about Cunningham Covers, David Cunningham told me the other day of one of their orders that they closed more or less in the space of a day. A telephone call from the Netherlands ended up with a very large order for an oil tarpaulin going off to Kazakhstan. When I was growing up in Tobermoor, I didn't know where Kazakhstan was. In fact, I didn't actually know where Japan was, never mind Kazakhstan. Small companies can trade globally and can trade globally at a very high profit. Interactivity. The key to all of this is that the internet, why the internet is such a valuable tool, is it supports the thing which human beings like to do more than anything else. They like to interact. Human beings thrive in interaction. They thrive in talking with each other. If I'd been an intelligent person when I was young, I would have invested in mobile phone shares and internet shares, because it was obvious that these were going to drive interaction. I wasn't a mathematician, and I couldn't work out the business logic of how you could make money from something which you didn't appear to charge for. But that interaction allows businesses to interact with their customers, customers to interact with the businesses, businesses to interact with each other. So it also enables businesses here in Northern Ireland to be part of a global value chain where they are part of the value chain of a number of other businesses, thereby driving up the potential market. We are one of the best places on the planet to have a business which can work with other businesses. At the moment, we are one of the best places on the planet to have a business which can make money by delivering its services and goods on the internet. Why? Because we've got connectivity to the rest of the planet, and we've got one of the best home platforms with which to operate on. So what? So you've got a really good digital platform. It allows you to do business. What's important about that? It's all about money. It's all about revenues. It's all about driving up margins. I like to summarize the benefits of very good access to broadband connectivity in 3 ways. A, it gives you greater market reach, locally and globally. What does that mean? It means more people can spend money with you. The more people who can spend money who come into your shop, the more chances you are of making a lot of money. Secondly, business efficiency. It supports your efficiency in administration, but also logistics, cash, stock control, cash flow, etc. The money which you spent with you, much less of it is wasted. And thirdly, it allows you to produce services and products which encourage people to spend more money with you, upselling and higher value products. The three of these together are what drives the businesses. I think when Peter was explaining what they did in Cunningham Covers, started off solely at a local level in the farming business and now addresses a range of different businesses from the home to oil fields and farms in between, anywhere in the planet. And they run a very efficient process and a very efficient sales process to do that, so there's no wastage. There are other examples. I'm not going to go through these in detail, but later on the site we're going to be documenting exemplars of companies in Northern Ireland which are demonstrating world-class capability in their business area. Car insurance companies, selling golf clubs. We sell golf clubs out of Derry to the States. You may ask the question, why does somebody in the States place an order with a firm in Derry for a golf club? Could they not buy it in a shop in the States? They do that because the provenance, the expertise of the people who are making the selection of those golf clubs and ensuring the supply has been identified on the internet. It has been shared through social networking sites, and it's encouraged people all over the world to use it. Fresh vegetables, bicycle parts, the Chain Reaction Story, the largest supplier of bicycles parts on the planet. It's placed between Ballyclare and Larne. Bag delivery, so you can have your bag delivered by a company in Northern Ireland from anywhere to anywhere, and if you happen to go on to one of the cruise ships, they'll even make sure it's in the cabin for you. Mobile applications we've heard about. Learning Pool, a company up in Derry, which provides training support for people working in the government sector. They're the fastest growing company in Northern Ireland at the moment. Or C2K, which is the educational product and platform, which is allowing companies in Northern Ireland to develop applications which can be sold not only here, but overseas. Animation companies in the media space and media production. Northern Ireland risks becoming one of the primary centres of digital media production, including movies, on the planet within the next decade. I like to think of it as Hollywood coming home to somewhere close to Bangor. And finally, business process expertise. Singularity, a company up in Derry, are one of the best companies in supporting the finance sector optimise their business processes. I think for Porrick and his team up there, that's a massive and growing market. So we have in Northern Ireland a varied and rich set of exemplar companies who actually are exploiting the web and exploiting the digital platform to grow their business and in the way, create profits and create employment. One of the things which holds a lot of that together is the web trading platform, and a lot of these companies actually are operating on web trading platforms which have not been developed in Silicon Valley in California, but have been developed in the Queen's Dock in Belfast or in other parts of Northern Ireland. So we have all the bits and pieces here, but it's only a proportion of our businesses have them. If we could triple or quadruple that proportion, then we would be far and away one of the fastest growing economies in Europe. Now, I'd like to finish off at that point by sharing with you the vision that we have in the Digital Northern Ireland 2020 programme for Northern Ireland. Everything we've been talking about here is digital economy. It's using the digital platform in order to generate business, maybe in digital media, maybe in selling tarpaulins, maybe in selling services and insurance, maybe in selling shoes, golf clubs, bicycles, whatever people want to buy. If you can actually deliver it from here and source it to the rest of the world, really the world is your oyster. Our aim is that by the end of the decade, Northern Ireland is going to be the world's preferred destination for digital economy investment. We may never be the biggest because there's only 1.5 million of us and we can only run so fast, but we certainly aspire to, and we have examples already of how we can be the best. At that point, I'd like to hand over to the question and answer sessions. If you could type in your questions into the little box, if you're looking at the little box at the bottom right-hand side, that would be very useful. Anna? I think. Okay, have we got any questions at all in the box at the bottom?
There are no questions currently posted.
Hopefully everybody, little question and answer box at the bottom if you want to type in a question. Oh, good. Thank you, Barry. I was beginning to feel like a lone voice here. Yes, Barry, very valid question. I'm in Fermanagh. There's a lack of connectivity outside of Enniskillen. Are there plans to improve? Answer is yes, Barry. This company, Northwest Electronics, which has been down talking with the Economic Development Officer in Enniskillen, looking at using WiMAX technology to help extend decent broadband access across different areas in Fermanagh. It should become real over the next, well, starting from kind of the next quarter through to the back end of next year. I've actually got that technology installed in a community I'm involved with in the north coast of Antrim, Coromila, which really is from a telecoms point of view, is in one of the most remote places on the planet. And we went from a very creaky quarter of a meg access, which worked some of the time, to now fully sync 10 meg, working all of the time, which could have been ratcheted up to 50 meg. So yes, that service is being rolled out. In fact, DETI provided some funding to the company to accelerate the rollout of that in the rural areas of the north, including Enniskillen, and not Enniskillen, but including Fermanagh and the rural areas outside. If you have any questions locally, maybe contact the Rural Development Officer to see how that's going. Any other questions? I see that there's a question mark against Mark Donaghy's name, but I can't actually see a question. Oh, I see. Are we slaves to poor... I can never think of you as a slave, Mark. Are we slaves to poor mobile 3G coverage in Northern Ireland? 3G coverage is not one of our high ground points at the moment. It needs to be fixed. It tends to be concentrated. It tends to be concentrated in the village, in the towns. There are robust discussions with the regulator and the mobile operators and so forth, and looking at the next round of licensing conditions to see how we can ensure that 3G coverage 3G and 4G coverage is improved in the future. But no, it's not great. We're trying to cover it somewhat with Wi-Fi access, but hopefully that 3G coverage will improve significantly in the future. And there's one from Barry. What are the biggest challenges facing businesses currently that is preventing them leveraging the digital platform to increase sales? Thanks for that, Patrick. The feedback we've had, and actually with Barry Lynch from Nifty North, we ran a little Pathfinder project to try to get a handle on how small businesses could exploit this. And the biggest barrier was this getting access to understanding how to exploit the web, exploit the net, to actually develop, to use it to up their business. People could work out how to get connected. Yeah, that's okay. They could work out how to do a search in Google. But unless you're told that just having a website, well, if you only have a website which says, here I am and here's my address, that does very little for your sales. You actually have to design it in such a way that it allows people to buy things from you, and behind that you have to use other tools in order to support the whole delivery process. And if you're a very small business, say a tool like Salesforce.com could significantly improve things, but a lot of people don't know what Salesforce.com is. So I think it is education in that sense, and providing support and learning. Now, there is an organisation, Log On NI, which is available, and it actually provides free advice. I think it's a day's worth of free advice to companies. And you can go to your local chamber, your local economic development offices of your business, and ask them to get you in contact with them, or go onto their website, which might be even faster, and contact them. If you're an Invest NI customer, there's a support service available for Invest NI customers, and hopefully actually going to your local regional colleges and asking people there, could we not set up something to support local businesses, would do wonders for that, integrating the local college into the local economy and make it more real. But yes, it's a good question, and hopefully there are services there. Hopefully we're going to improve those in the future. What I hope we've been able to say to you today is, locally, if you're a member of a local Chamber of Commerce, there will be people in that Chamber of Commerce who've already done this. Let's ask the Chamber of Commerces and so forth to set up workshops for their members to share experience as to how to do this, and get the economic development officers from the council. I know many of the councils are ready and willing to engage in this. Okay. Any other questions? If there are no other questions, I'd like to thank everybody for joining. Thank everybody for staying on the call. I hope this was of interest really to the business school or to the business studies classes who've been on, and hopefully it's inspired them to go out and help their businesses in their local area to grasp this opportunity which is in front of them, and make them make more money, and maybe make more money for yourselves. Again, I'd like to thank Darren Lemon Eircom very much for having provided this platform for us to have this session. And tomorrow, same time at 1 o'clock, we're having a session looking at the more broader issue in terms of citizen benefits. What does it really mean to society in general to have a digital platform? Thanks very much indeed for your time. Goodbye.